Hey guys, so I'll be talking about weekly hard stratagem number 16 in Space Marine 2 and some easy builds to complete this, just some overall tips. Now, this week we have a pretty interesting one. This one's on termination of the battlefield conditions enemy sighted, which is range kills restore armor based on enemy threat level, maintain distance, melee damage is greatly reduced but range damage is increased, and split up. When you maintain close proximity to squad members, armor and contested health restoration are disabled. Now, a lot of people are misreading split up. This is not squad unity. What you have to do in this one is just stay away from your teammates. And the whole purpose of this stratagem this week, it really seems to be built around range fire, just having like a long range battle. So we'll be building around that today. And the battlefield condition here, maintain distance, the one that says melee damage is greatly reduced. When it says greatly reduced, it is not kidding. You will do basically no melee damage with this modifier, so definitely build for range classes. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first up, I want to talk about the Heavy. Now, the Heavy is kind of a no-brainer because the Heavy has no melee weapon. His guns already do a ridiculous amount of damage on their own. With this modifier that gives him even more range damage, things like the Heroic Heavy Plasma Incinerator hit like a ridiculous amount of damage. It's kind of ludicrous how much damage you can actually output with these things, and really any Heavy Plasma on this modifier is going to be an incredible option. Now, for the Heroic Heavy Plasma, I do usually just set it up like this, though to be honest, you could just go all the way down the bottom for things like even more ammo, because this thing's ammo economy does suck, but in a team it matters a little bit less. Now, another great option here would be the Heavy Bolter, the Chains of Duty. This is by far the best Heavy Bolter in the game currently. Not only do you have a fencing parry window with this thing, it also has 0 charge rate on the maximum fire rate for it, which is pretty amazing. That just means you go from 0 to 100 on your fire rate, which is great for maximizing your DPS and being able to maximize your contested health recovery. Now, if you want to take a multi-melter or something like that, you could also choose this, though I will say the optimal team comps for this, in my opinion, are like a Sniper Heavy Tac or a Vanguard Sniper Heavy, or like, any mix with like these four. I would probably avoid the Assault and Bulwark this time, mainly because Bulwark, despite being the overall best class in this game currently, in my opinion, losing out on his melee damage, that is pretty damn limiting. And even if you're just like a heal bot for your team and aura farming with an outfit, that's not the worst thing ever, but I would probably just pick Vanguard over him, because Vanguard does have a primary. He can still put out a tremendous amount of range damage on this modifier here, and things like Bull Carbine, Instigator Bull Carbine, these all do a ton of damage on this stratagem. And also, the way the Vanguard operates in the battlefield is that he's usually in melee range with his guns, which means for that split up modifier where you have to stay away from your teammates, he's actually pretty good for that, because Heavy, Sniper, and Tac, these classes are usually more of a backline depending on how you build them, especially Sniper, because this guy can just cloak and like just leave his entire team. He's a very selfish class in general, so this one's a great modifier for him. My bigger issue with things like this modifier would be Assault is a pretty fucking useless class right now. The only way I would play him on this modifier is building around gun strikes. If you want to do that, you definitely could, like armor reinforcement, proven efficiency, these kinds of things. They're still going to be very good on him. It's just that his actual melee damage and ground pound damage is going to be dog shit, so I would just avoid him entirely. Now, as far as Vanguard options go, you could take the Inner Fire or a Maziel perk. I know a lot of people will still want healing on this class, and this perk is amazing, guys. Like, I think the Vanguard here is a way better setup for this build comp than, say, a Bulwark this time, because losing out on melee damage on this class really doesn't matter that much. I would probably take a balance or fencing weapon this time, because getting more gun strikes is also pretty nice on this one, because gun strikes just do more damage than your melee hits will. Now, block weapons will still give you back armor and range damage reduction. That is really useful. Like, if you want to take a block weapon, that's not a bad idea at all, because if you're unaware, block weapons in Space Marine 2, on a perfect block, they will give you 2 seconds of 60% range damage reduction, and on top of that, you will be able to restore armor, and you'll be able to stagger enemies and bosses and stuff like that, and that is still a very useful tool, even without the melee damage buff, but you won't be killing jack shit with these, just keep that in mind. Now, as far as the Sniper goes, I mean, this guy is kind of the king of this one, in my opinion. Things like the Heroic Bolt Sniper Rifle will do a ridiculous amount of damage. He has 0 issues staying out of the fight. Stalker Bolt Rifle, Last Fusel, these guns are top tier. They really have been for quite a while, especially this one. I would build the perk tree like this and just go targeted shot, because, if you go for full melee damage on this one, you're going to have a bad time, but if you build things like Marksmanship, the newly buffed perk Precision Targeting, which is weapon spread, is reduced by 25%, and range damage against extremist and terminus level enemies is increased by 15% for all of your squad members. This will help you nuke the bosses, and bosses are kind of a pain in the ass on this one. And speaking of nuking bosses, we will talk about like the final build section here in a second for nuking bosses, but I do want to talk about the fact that targeted shot, just take this because range attacks are all that matter. In patch 11.0, they also buffed up this perk to have a lingering effect, where now you'll be able to get off like 5 shots from a bolt carbine or an instigator off, which means that you will get a full burst of the heroic instigator bolt carbine with the 75% damage buff on the range cloak break, which is pretty damn good. You'll do a ton of damage with that, especially on this modifier. And also the heroic bolt sniper already has a ×10 headshot multiplier. And if you build for full damage on this thing, you'll just like damn near one shot a neurothrope with an auspex and stuff like that. So definitely a great class for sure. And I probably would skip over the melee mastery perks and stuff like that for like vantage point, high capacity, or block break and Medicae adept, because your melee damage is garbage, so I would just skip over that. Now, as far as the final class I want to talk about here is concerned with tactical, I mean guys, it's tactical. This class is probably the best support class in the entire game. Precise calibration plus concentrated fire auspex here. This will just nuke a boss. When you place down these two perks, I say it pretty much every time because it really is that good. 195% damage increase for your entire team with a range damage modifier on a single boss for like 2 seconds even. You're going to nuclear bomb a boss, basically. You are just going to shoot a neurothrope out of the sky with your sniper. You're going to blow apart a Carnifex in his face. This is an amazing combo. You have to be pretty careful for how you place this, because Concentrated Fire says Auspex scan zone will last 60% longer, and they will lose the mark when they leave the scanned area. So if you do misplace your Auspex, you will kind of get cooked, because this perk really does require you to place your auspex in a proper area, and having a Carnifex like ram into a wall and then stop there for a bit, that's one of the best opportunities to place this down. Or when like a neurothrope is screaming, that is when I would choose to actually put down my auspex on these. But on this modifier, where you have all these range damage bonuses and you're really trying to play around like a long range fighting style, I would probably just take a stalker bolt rifle, or maybe even like a grenade launcher, because the grenade launcher in this game does a ridiculous amount of damage. The only issue is its ammo economy does suck ass, but with the buffed up range damage we do here, if you look over on the actual modifier that says we get a, the range damage increase with our melee damage being greatly reduced, this will buff up the bolt rifle portion of your grenade launcher quite a bit, so your grenade launcher will be pretty damn powerful overall as an actual gun for once, on top of that ridiculous grenade launcher damage. I wouldn't say it's like the best option ever, but it could be pretty fun. Now, Stalker Bolt Rifle is kind of a no-brainer on this one as well. This gun is incredible. The 2.3 times headshot multiplier when you build for full range damage on the tactical does do a ridiculous amount of damage as well. And they also recently buffed up the perk Relentless Pursuit, which is after a gun strike, range damage increased by 25% for 10 seconds. This one will now last for 10 seconds versus the 5 it was previously, and a 25% range damage boost on top of a 10% from balance distribution, on top of even like a 15% from aligned aim. You will be doing ridiculous damage to bosses and really any enemy in your way as long as you hit your headshots. Now, Secure Stockpile here, equipment charge 4x1 for all squad members, cooldown at 60 seconds. This perk is obviously better than aligned aim, and even if you're like the worst tactical player ever, and you just take this perk, and you take these two Auspex perks and you place them down at the proper time, you are going to have a tremendous impact on your gameplay for your entire team, because these really are that powerful as a combo. So hopefully that does help you out. Now, as far as like direct weapon builds go, I mean, you can really look at any video I've ever made for any of these weapons across the past like 3 patches. They've not changed that much, but the main point is, like, for a Stalker Bolt Rifle, I would set up this way. For things like heavy plasma, I would probably set it up this way, or I would go down the bottom tree for more ammo, because your ammo economy does suck on this gun. Heavy bolter, I'd probably set it up this way, and for the Vanguard Instigator, I would set it up this way, because this will give you like the best ammo economy plus damage. If you want to skip over these 2 bottom perks here, I would just take the headshot perks, because these will come out to more flat out damage, and building down for these perks here is not worth it, because you actually lose damage by doing this, or like it'll be very, very selective damage. And what I mean by that is you have to have a trigger here of killing a Majora's level or higher enemy, and if you're unable to do that, you have significantly less damage than just building down these trees here instead. Now, as far as bolt carbine would go, I would probably build it this way, and as far as a melter rifle would go, I would build it this way. And that's pretty standard across the board for these classes here, and that's pretty much all I have to say on this one as far as builds are concerned. Really, guys, just aim for gun, shoot gun, kill guy. That's really all you have to do in this one. And hopefully your teammates are not, brain dead and they don't just sit there and hug you thinking this is squad unity, because I have a feeling this week that nobody's actually going to read that says split up, and that you have to maintain a distance from your teammates for once rather than a close proximity, because that's like the big issue with squad unity is a lot of people will not stick together, but for this one they're misreading it and they think that you actually have to stick together, which is hilarious. But yeah, just keep that in mind. This is split up, not squad unity. And that's pretty much all I have to say for this one. Let me know how this weekly modifier was for you, and as always, if you like content like this, subscribe for more. And thank you for watching. I was a little bit rambling in this one. I just want to get this idea out for some people that struggle with these a little bit. And that's all I have to say. Goodbye.